Okay, very good. What else that we've learned? Ni ke? Bukan. Apa lagi kita belajar? Ingat tak?
Ada.
Apa lagi? Population structure and distribution. Kita tunjuk dah. Population structure and distribution. What does it mean by structure? What does it mean by distribution? Ingat balik.
Distribution
Sorry Haziq, Khairul, dia sekat-sekat lah. Structure.
distribution
Struktur. Okay, never mind lah. Saya tak dengar sangat. Maybe line kot. Okay, structure. For population structure, we have what? In terms of age, gender, all the population categories lah. In terms of marital status, socioeconomic status, whether they are working or they are not working, whether they they are in working age group or not, or are they considered as elderly or young population. Okay, and distribution in terms of dia punya taburan where they are located, where they live, where they migrated to, where they migrated in, where they migrated out, how lain lah. In other words, structure ni yang saya cakap mention tadi, distribution is the taburan orang penduduk. Okay, and I've already explained to you the this is in terms of population structure and distribution. I try to relate with the structure and distribution in Malaysia. So I relate my PhD studies and will show you the result lah. Okay, I think this one I will show you. I already explained previously. The left graph shows the population growth. The right graph shows the population share or ratio. Okay, population growth. What can you see here? The larger the city, the larger the growth. Third, lagi besar city tu, bandar tu, lagi banyak perubahan, pertambahan kan, ataupun, dan lagi kecil dia punya kategori, dia punya hierarchy of the city. So, for example, remote villages, small town villages, lagi kurang dia punya growth. This one is lain, I don't know why lah, kenapa graf dia macam ni. Tahun 1980 kan, lebih 1980 dia punya masih remote villages, dia punya growth masih tinggi. Sebab pada tahun tu masih ramai orang yang duduk di kampung kan, villages, kampung. Remote villages jauh lagi, pedalaman lagi. Okay, and then as time goes by, 1991 to 2000, 2010, you can see that the growth getting slower. Based on the overall trend, you can see that the larger the city, the more growth. That is logic lah, kan? But in terms of population share, there are several patterns that you can see here. The first one is the increase of proportion or share for larger city in the metropolitan area. For example, in Klang Valley area kan, and also in Georgetown conurbation, in Johor Bahru conurbation and Kuantan conurbation, you can see that the share increases as time increase. Okay, compared to the small villages, small towns and remote villages, the share decreased. And for medium-sized cities, the share are more or less stable or similar. What can you explain based on this pattern? Boleh ni? Kenapa jadi macam ni? Kenapa bandar-bandar besar, bandar-bandar metropolitan di Malaysia ni, dia punya share atau ratio meningkat compared to small town villages dengan remote villages? Kenapa?
Migration.
Very good. Because of the rural-urban migration since 1980. So at that time, maybe the rural-urban migration at its peak, kan, where people are moving out from rural because of the economic transformation from rural economy to what? to manufacturing economy. That's why more people moving to town. However, as as time reached like year 2000, 2010, the migration pattern might have changed a little bit. Okay, nanti kita tengok result migration. But this one I show you in terms of population share. Ingat population share ni ibarat contoh 60% adalah Melayu, maybe 20% adalah Cina, 10% adalah India, dan lain-lain ada 10%. Itu dimasukkan dengan share. In other words, ratio ataupun percentage. Okay? Faham Contoh, for example in 1980, kita tengok hitam je. Hitam, the dark blue in 1980. Berapa percentage dia? More or less like 16%. Okay, 16% of people lived in capital metropolitan. For regional metropolitan, more or less 14%. Kan? For medium-sized cities, how many? Almost 25%, maybe 24%. Okay, you kena tengok by year. Macam dark blue ni kita kena tengok untuk setiap hierarki bandar. This one, and this one. Okay. And for small town villages, how many? Maybe 21%. But for remote villages, how many? 25%. Kan? Faham Population share ni apa? Population growth ni apa? Growth ni kita tengok sama ada kita tengok berapa peratus dia meningkat from X year to X year. Contoh, pada tahun 2010 ada 100, 2020 ada 200. Berapa peratus naik? Berapa growth dia? 2010 ada 100 orang, 2020 ada 200 orang. Berapa peratus naik? Anyone?
100.
Ya, confident lah sikit. Betul lah tu, 100% kan? So, 2010 ada 100 orang, 2020 naik kepada 200 orang. So, dia naik, perubahan dia berapa? 100 orang. So, in other words, 100%. Okay, what if 2010 ada 100 orang, 2020 ada 50 orang? Berapa persen naik?
50.
Berapa?
50.
Yeah, very good. Okay, I hope you all faham Okay, formula untuk the growth formula, there are many. The general one is this one. Growth is equal to sama dengan present minus past divided by past. Okay, if you want percentage, you must times 100. Kan Ini ingat formula dia. For example, you nak calculate growth, tak kisahlah growth pelajar ke all population, you nak calculate growth you punya sale ke kan. Contoh January you dapat untung dalam RM459 kan. 459 450 lah RM. Okay. In December you dapat untung klik. Nak klik? Anyone wants to try? Macam mana nak tahu growth dari January ke December?
December tolak January, bagi January.
Okay, very good. Bagi January. Dah habis dah? Itu saja.
100.
Times 100. Yep, if you want to know the percentage. 49% increase. Okay, untung. Tak kira lah growth ni apa-apa formula you boleh guna. Kan senang kan? Hopefully senang lah. Okay, next. Previously you tengok the population growth and population share by the overall cities in Malaysia. However, we want to focus on maybe the largest one. Why? Because we can see that the largest one in capital metropolitan and regional metropolitan shows that a significant increase. So the next slide shows the detailed category in each large city. For example, capital metropolitan, dia ada core dia ada suburban. Same as regional metropolitan, it has its own core, kawasan core tu, and also suburban. Okay, so faham For example, capital metropolitan kat mana? Dekat Klang Valley area. So Klang Valley area dia punya core apa? Satu, Kuala Lumpur. Suburban dia apa? Suburban is combination of macam bandar-bandar dekat Klang, bandar-bandar dekat Petaling Jaya, Subang Jaya, Hulu Langat kan, Gombak dan sebagainya. Okay, but for regional metropolitan is what? If you remember, regional metropolitan is combination of three largest city in Malaysia, which is the Georgetown conurbation, Johor Bahru conurbation, and Kuantan conurbation. For example, like in Georgetown conurbation, core dia apa? Dia punya core kat Georgetown lah, kan? Yang keliling dia tu dia di suburban lah. Okay, what about Johor Bahru conurbation? Johor Bahru lah dia punya core kan. The rest Iskandar Puteri apa semua tu dekat Serakan Bandar tu adalah it's the suburban. What about Kuantan? Kuantan lah, Bandar Kuantan. Faham capital metropolitan ni apa, regional metropolitan ni apa. And also based on this slide, I've shown you the population growth and population share. Macam mana you nak translate ni? Growth. Any idea? Wei, lagu apa tu? Ada yang nak try tak? Population growth of capital metropolitan between core and suburban. Anyone wants to try to explain this graph? The left graph. Apa yang dimasukkan? You can see that clearly apa dia? Ni, apa dia? Saya disconnect ke?
Tak, doktor.
Okay. Apa yang nak tunjukkan ni? Apa graf yang dekat kiri ni tunjuk? What does it tell?
Ramai yang migrate.
Okay, but before that we can see that the growth in suburban area is significantly higher than its core. Faham tak? Normally eager kan, normally the previous trends, traditional trends, people migrate to the core kan, kawasan core. Nowadays, if you look at the trends, nampak tu, people are moving outside the core as well. In terms of dia punya growth dekat suburban ni lagi tinggi berbanding dia punya core. What does it mean? Means that maybe
density.
At this stage, there are many new development outside of the core, outside Kuala Lumpur, outside Georgetown, outside Johor Bahru, outside Kuantan. Serakan bandar berlaku, banyak pembangunan, banyak bandar-bandar baru, banyak infrastruktur, banyak institusi baru di luar-luar core. That's why more people are moving there or live there. Okay, maybe another reason is because of the living cost. Maybe kawasan tu mahal kan. Kawasan dekat core dalam Kuala Lumpur tu, dalam Georgetown ke apa ke, dalam Kuantan ke mahal. So they have to live outside of the core city. Ataupun maybe in terms of their workplace, tempat kerja, maybe located at the suburban area. Kan? That's why you can see here based on this graph, suburban area shows a significantly higher growth compared to its core. So according to Kuala Lumpur structure plan, I think yang outdated ni lah, and also studies done by our dekan, okay, we can see that the growth, people are no longer staying in the core. Dalam core tu orang dah susah untuk duduk ataupun maybe sebab living cost apa semua lah. Sekarang ni orang dah duduk luar bandar kan. It is one of the problem lah because of the low growth in the core kan. Bila kos apa mahal, tak mampu untuk duduk, orang akan bertebaran dekat suburban area. So the same as population share, you can see that the core, nampak dia punya population share, dia punya ratio dia, bukan ratio, peratus dia menurun saban tahun for each 10 year kan. Maybe in 2020 it will continuously to decline because this result is based on the actual data from those banci penduduk, census. Dia bukan sample size kita ambil maybe dalam 10% ke apa, berapa persen ke kan. Adalah dia punya statistical calculation, but for census this is based on the overall population in Malaysia. For core, overall population who live in the core and overall population that live in suburban. You can see that the share, dia punya peratus meningkat significantly. Okay, so possibly in 2020 the pattern will continuously to increase because of the urban sprawl issue kan, urban development kan, urban growth apa semua. Okay, this one shows the the gender differences between settlement hierarchy. What can you identify? What can you learn from this graph? Apa yang you boleh baca based on this graph? In terms ada yang nak try?
Equal.
Yup, very good. Siapa nama?
DJ.
DJ. Very good lah. You are one of the very observant. Mana? Apa yang masuk ni? There is no major or big difference between gender in all city, in all settlement. Tiada perbezaan yang ketara in terms of gender. Bahasa Melayu apa? Dari segi apa? Jantina di semua bandar. So tak ada masalah lah. Kan? Balance kan? What about this one? Ethnicity. Sorry.
Not balanced.
Yep, very good. It's not balanced, clearly. What else? Ini penting ni, ini sejarah, kait dengan sejarah juga ni.
More Chinese to at the city.
Okay, very good. Hakim. Kita tambah lagi, maybe ayat yang general sikit. Okay, based on the result, what can you see? Kita ada Bumiputra. Yeah, Bumiputra is the majority kan. Chinese, Indians and other is what? Is the minority. Okay, saya dah bagi hint dah tu. How can you summarize?
Minority lebih ramai daripada majority.
Tak tepat lagi. Kan different between city kan, different between bandar kan. Cuba kait dengan tu.
Taburan.
Yeah, very good. Taburan, ialah taburan apa? Kita cuba explain. First you need to identify the population, dia punya structure dia, and then in terms of dia punya distribution. Kita dah tahu in terms of ethnic, dia punya structure. Dia punya taburan dia macam mana? Taburan ni ikut tempat.
Bumiputra banyak dekat kampung kata.
Yep, very good. Tak tepat lagi. Sambung lagi.
And
Minority macam mana?
Sama dekat estate tu.
Tadi dah betul lah. Okay. You can see that the majority population live in, there are more majority ethnic live in smaller towns and rural areas. But what about minority? There are many minority live in larger cities. Nampak tu? So nampak dia punya trend kan? Nampak? Makin jauh, makin kecil bandar ataupun dekat kawasan-kawasan pedalaman, kawasan kampung-kampung kecil, lagi banyak bumi putra berbanding dekat bandar. Kalau kita tengok bandar, the minority berapa persen in capital metropolitan? 60%. Okay, 60%. But if saya hanya tunjuk 1980, but overall for all years from 1980 to year 2000 up, you nampak perbezaan tak? Yes, there are differences. You can see that kita ambil yang first lah, capital metropolitan 60, minority 60. Tetapi pada tahun 2000 dia dah berkurang kepada maybe 50%, maybe equal. Yes, there are difference, but it's not significant sangat. There's no big difference. What does it mean? How this happen? Kenapa benda ni berlaku? Why there is a segregation between ethnic between the settlement type? Kenapa? Dan dia masih berlaku. Ya, sorry?
Faktor sejarah.
Okay, apa sejarah apa?
Setiap ada British kan yang asing-asingkan semua etnik ni.
Yep, okay, very good. Ingat why this situation happens is because of the divide and conquer strategy by the our colonial back then lah, by British government lah kan, before the independence kan, dia asingkan dia Melayu dekat mana? Dalaman, Cina dekat mana? Cina dekat bandar kan, India kat mana? Kat estate. So based on the statistic, it still the segregation still we can still see the segregation. Okay, nampak ni dia tak balance, tak balance. Even in year 2000 pun I don't think dia akan balance. Nampak tu. So maksudnya and after that apa jadi? Perpecahan kaum kan. Bila perpecahan kaum apa terjadi? Kan dia ada clash between race kan, between the minority and majority. Ada clash kan, ada clash, ada pergaduhan, ada pertumpahan darah pada 13 Mei kan. And then what happened? And the government imposed the first Malaysian the first economic policy, apa namanya, to eradicate the poverty especially among the Bumi Putra, and also to to integrate balik kaum tu. Apa dasar ekonomi yang
Dasar ekonomi baru.
Yes, very good. Dasar ekonomi baru ni economic policy DEB. It was introduced to eradicate poverty especially among Bumi Putra kan, and also to menyatu padukan balik kaum. However, based on current trend itu dasar ekonomi baru I forgot bila 19 berapa dah. But based on this trend, you rasa agak-agak kita masih lagi bersatu padu tak? Masih lagi poverty, masih ada lagi. So there is little success lah. Ada success, ada keberkesanan dia ikut even sampai sekarang rancangan Malaysia apa. Tapi we can still see the segregation of ethnic between the cities, between the areas kan, between cities and rural areas. Masih lagi nampak kita ada perbezaan dia. Okay? Masih lagi tak kuat lah dia punya policy ke, maybe in terms of implementation ke. Okay, based on the statistic. Clear Okay. Next, educational attainment. Anyone wants to try? Ada yang tak ada education, who didn't get any education, who got the primary education for sekolah rendah, secondary education for sekolah menengah, tertiary education from college or university. Anyone wants to explain? Wants to try?
Remote village has the most percentage of no education.
Yep. Okay, we can see that people who got no education yang hanya bagi taska je, majorly located in small towns and also villages, but those who have education such as primary, secondary, and tertiary education mostly located in towns lah, and also in larger towns lah. Kan, based on this trend nampak ni, biru makin banyak dekat bandar-bandar kecil dan perkampungan yang ada education, makin lama makin banyak dekat kawasan-kawasan yang maju. Very good. And the pattern persisted until year 2000. Yes, there is a change in terms of percentage, tapi dia punya pattern nampak biru tu masih sama. Okay, what else? Cuba tengok yang kuning. Apa lagi? Kuning ni.
Tertiary education makin banyak.
Yup, why?
Negara maju.
Very simple answer. Kenapa makin banyak orang yang ada degree? Ada diploma, ada sijil? Because of the establishment of institution, itu saja, kan? So as time goes by, there are many institutions that were developed at that time, kan? So people, the government send them to go for overseas, kan, to study macam ayah, kan, cikgu-cikgu saya pun sama, kan. So sejak tu kesedaran tentang education ni tinggi, so that's why we can see that the percentage of the tertiary education as time goes by increase over time, ya. Okay, and ikut pattern ni dah akan teruskan meningkat lah, kan, sampai sekarang 2020, kan. But at the time I did this research, I did this graph, I only got until 2000 because this graph, the data is based on IPEMS. IPEMS tu they collect all statistical data from all over countries, but only at 10% sample size. Okay, ini nak dapat daripada apa nama? Dozem susah lah, payah lah. Okay, IPEMS, IPUM. So you need to register with the university and then baru you boleh download statistical data at their website. IPUMS. Okay, faham education? Next, occupational industry. Primary industry, secondary industry, tertiary industry. Anyone wants to try? What? Okay, before that, what is primary industry?
Industri yang dapatkan bahan mentah.
Yeah, any industry that involves production, pengeluaran, kan? Apa dia? Contoh?
Biji timah.
Okay. Ya ke? Itu mining ke?
Kelapa sawit.
Yeah, agriculture, aquaculture, farming, kan? Something like that. Biji timah ke? I'm not sure lah, tapi kena tanya ekonomis lah. But that is primary industry. What is secondary industry?
Yang memproseskan.
Yep, very good. In terms of manufacturing industry and also construction industry, that are the secondary industry. What is tertiary industry?
Services.
Yep, industry that is based on services. Services ni banyak lah, kan. Macam saya ni pun services kan, education services. So yang tukang ni pun services kan. So okay, you dah faham apa jenis industri ni? Can you explain the graph? Pun straightforward. We can see the pattern actually. Okay, kita tengok for primary industry lah. This is structure tau. Population structure. Kita tengok dari segi industri pekerjaan, kan, industri ekonomi, kan. Dari segi peletakan dia, taburan dia, this is distribution. Okay, dari distribution, macam mana nak cerita?
Dekat kawasan bandar lebih banyak boleh kita dapatkan services.
Okay, very good. Boleh tambah lagi?
Di bandar juga kurang lah, macam primary industry tu, ladang-ladang tak banyak. Jadi lebih pada bangunan.
Yep. This one also is very straightforward graph. It shows that the primary, for example, the first result is that agriculture mana dominant, dekat luar bandar, dekat bandar-bandar kecil, kan. So that's why you can see that the percentage are higher in that kind of settlement. In terms of secondary industry that involve manufacturing, mining, kan, construction, mining I think primary kot. I think betul tadi. Manufacturing and construction, nampak dekat mana? Dekat bandar lagi banyak kan. Sebab there are more construction kan. Manufacturing are more located in cities kan. Lagi bandar-bandar besar kan. And in terms of tertiary industry, of course, there are more services in larger settlements compared to smaller settlements. That's why you can see that in smaller settlements, for example, remote villages, the primary industry is what? Is the primary industry yang activity yang berdasar pengeluaran, and the least is what? Construction lah. Construction because maybe peratus dia tak banyak construction. And primary tertiary industry kurang servis berbanding bandar-bandar lain. So that is in terms of distribution. How about distribution as time goes by? From 1980 to 2000, what does the result tell? You tengok biru saja. Tengok biru, tengok labu, tengok semualah ni tu. Tengoklah sini. Compare 1980 dengan 2000. What happened?
Tertiary industri bertambah, primary industri berkurang.
Yeah. Since our economy transform from agricultural sector to manufacturing sector, you can see that there are many services in the industry that were offered compared to the primary industry. Maybe because of not only because of the transformation of economic model, but also maybe because of the perbandaran, proses perbandaran. Bila proses perbandaran, tanah-tanah agriculture kita develop. Bila tanah agriculture kita develop, there are less agricultural activity lah. That's it dah. Itu saja. That's why you can see here in capital metropolitan hanya sikit je. Maybe dekat capital metropolitan dekat mana? Klang Valley. Maybe dekat Sabak Benam saja. Kan? So, the rest economic activity located maybe at major kawasan lah, major city macam PJ apa semua tu lah. KL, Klang apa semua, Gombak tu lah. Okay, compared to remote villages, you can see that services are getting higher, and agriculture still high but declining. Okay, clear? Alright. Next is in terms of types of education. Types of occupation. Types of occupation is more or less similar with the occupation industry. Type of occupation, for example, low paid job is related to the primary industry sector, kan, yang bekerja sebagai petani, yang bekerja sebagai penternak apa semua tu lah. Middle paid job is more or less macam semi professional, kan, ataupun tak professional sangat lah. And high paid job is more of a professional job. The same pattern, kan? Anyone wants to try? Low paid jobs mostly located at smaller towns compared to larger towns. That's it. Okay. Middle paid job is more or less located at larger towns, kan. Orang yang bekerja sebagai kerani, kan, orang yang bekerja sebagai cikgu kan. Maybe yang middle income kan, maybe penolong pegawai ke apa semua, kan. And then high paid jobs mostly located at larger city. Tapi there is no big difference lah in 1980. Why? Tak banyak sangat perbezaan in 1980. Why? Because kita government servant ni, siapa yang bekerja government relocate you all kat mana, kan, position you kat mana, kan, dihantar you kat mana. That's why dia punya location more or less seimbang, kan, high paid job ni. Okay. Cikgu I think is belong to high paid jobs, so I don't know, I'm not sure lah. Nanti kena tengok hari kategori. But as time goes by, you can see that the low paid jobs, the percentage slightly decline, but the patterns are still the same, kan? Right? Yeah, types of occupation ni is the detailed explanation of types of industry lah, ya. From industry ni activity ekonomi occupation ni jenis pekerjaan orang yang kerja tu. Okay. This one is, you can see that bilangan penduduk bekerja mengikut industri pekerjaan Argentina bagi tahun 1957 hingga 2000. Nampak ni, 1980. Yang paling tinggi apa? Pertanian, perhutanan. In terms of work, in terms of job, pertanian. How about in year 2000? Jadi pembuatan. This one more to services. Nampak tu? Ekonomi kita berubah. Kan? Then this one is in terms of, okay, dah habis in terms of population structure and it's in terms of this, distribution. Next, you will see the migration pattern between settlement type. Okay, anyone wants to try? Capital Metropolitan Area, kawasan Klang Valley ni apa jadi? The orange one is in migrant, the blue one is out migrant. What happens here? From 1975 to year 2010, apa jadi? Hello? Apa ni? In migrant orange.
More immigrant dia makin kurang.
Yeah, very good. Apa maksudnya? Lagi banyak orang masuk daripada orang keluar. Apa maksudnya? Rural urban migration lah kan. Lagi banyak orang attracted, lagi orang masuk ke dalam kawasan Klang Valley tu. Migrasi. What? Okay, next. Capital Metropolitan Core. This is the whole Kuala Lumpur. Apa jadi Kuala Lumpur? Ni.
Orang masuk lebih banyak.
Sorry, okay. Orang masuk lagi banyak. Okay, maybe in the first 5-year period, and then what happened next?
Dan orang luar lebih banyak masuk.
Okay, sorry gatal. Okay, for the first 5-year period in Kuala Lumpur, there are more people moving in. But after that, people started to move out from the town because of the reason that I've mentioned earlier lah. Okay, maybe because of in terms of pekerjaan, tempat pekerjaan, workplace, in terms of following partner kan. Maybe wife ni ikut pasangan untuk bekerja kat tempat lain. Apa lagi in terms of maybe economy factor kan, economy constraint, mahal sangat nak tinggal kan. And the patterns berubah kan, dia berubah as time goes by. Okay, where do they move? Maybe they move to urban, to suburban lah. Tadi you tengok population suburban tadi tinggi kan, so you can assume that they move to the suburban area. Okay, this one is capital metropolitan suburban. We can see that there are more people moving in than moving out. Means that betul, we can assume that boleh lah, memang betul lah. Orang yang daripada Kuala Lumpur kan, dia akan bergerak kepada dekat PJ apa semua tu lah, PJ apa semua, because of the reason I mentioned. Regional metropolitan, the patterns are more or less the same as capital metropolitan, more people moving in. Okay, this one there is no core and also suburban analysis. But for medium sized city, for at first there are more people moving out kan. At that time maybe medium sized city dia tak semaju lah, sepesat bandar-bandar yang besar ni macam regional dengan capital ni. Tapi medium size city ni, contoh ibu-ibu negeri ni, in maybe dekat Melaka ke, maybe dekat Negeri Sembilan ke, maybe dekat Perak ibu negeri tu, maybe as time goes by nampak tu dia punya population, dia punya migration more or less similar kan, in migrant and out migrant. So as time goes by, the negeri-negeri the medium size city urbanized. So dia tak banyak orang keluar sangat, dia tak banyak orang yang masuk sangat. Okay, for small town villages, we can see that there are many out migrants. People are moving out. There are many people moving out from the small towns. Kan? How many thousand? 700,000 of migrants moving out from small town and villages, compared to people who moving in. Those who moving in probably people who live nearby villages, but people who are moving out ni they are moved to larger city lah. Maybe to, especially you can see here, maybe to regional metropolitan or capital metropolitan. Okay, so and then remote villages. Remote villages ni tak banyak perbezaan. Kawasan-kawasan memang hulu lah. Nah, dia punya pergerakan ni terbatas. Maybe pergerakan or migration is because of migration that adjacent with this adjacent area, adjacent area, and there are also unknown origin. What is unknown origin? We do not know where they come from, but we do know where they go, where they went. This is based on data collected by DOSM lah. So this is I interpreted the result based on migration patterns. Okay, we can see that here we do not know where they come from, but kita tahu dia bergerak ke mana. Agak-agak dia ke mana? Ke bandar-bandar besar lah, of course lah kan. Tapi kita tak tahu macam mana kita nak analyse dia origin dari mana, dia destination ke mana. Next shows you the this is called heat map. The darker color means that the darker the color, the more, I think, the more values lah. Okay. So first we look at the top left graph, top left map. This is heat map. Boleh buat dalam Excel. Ya, the darker the more values. So dekat mana paling gelap sini? In terms of origin,
Small town.
yeah, small town and villages. Small villages lah. At this stage 1980 banyak kampung-kampung lah, small villages. Nampak dia paling gelap kat sini. Apa yang dimaksudkan ni? This is the destination. The x-axis, sorry, the y-axis is the origin, the x-axis is the destination. So small town and villages, people mainly migrated to the what? Capital metropolitan. Memang betul lah, memang rural migration took place at that time. Ingat origin dia kat sini, and then they migrate to destination. Tengok atas tu, capital metropolitan. Now where else they move? Here in medium sized city pun dia bergerak, dekat regional metropolitan pun dia bergerak, nampak? Okay, faham At this stage as rural urban migration. Kita tengok 2010, the bottom right map. Anyone wants to try? Origin mana yang paling tinggi? Yang paling gelap lah. Unknown. We do not know where they come from. Kita tak tahu. DOSM pun tak tahu. Tapi where do they move to?
Capital metropolitan.
Ya.
Capital metropolitan.
So orang-orang ni possibly dia from small town villages, they move to, ataupun dia from urban area ke apa, dia move to capital metropolitan. Yang nampak tu. Okay. Tapi bila as time goes by, we can see that unknown migrants are getting higher and higher. Okay. Alright. Before that, can we look at 1995 and 1980 and 2000? Tengok the bottom left. What happens? The darker color ni, yang paling dekat gelap kan? Ya, core. Ya, itu Kuala Lumpur. Nampak tu? Bukan lagi small town. Since 1995 to 2000, the patterns recorded that people move, the largest people that move from one place to another is from Kuala Lumpur. Where did they move to? To suburban. Apa?
Capital metropolitan.
So what does it mean? During that time, it means that rural urban migration is not the dominant. It's not the major migration pattern at that time. It changes to urban migration. Nampak dia duduk di Kuala Lumpur and then dia bergerak ke suburban sekeliling. So since that time, the migration pattern has changed from rural urban migration to urban migration. So possibly the bottom right graph ni, unknown migrants ni, they possibly migrated from the core itself. because the migration patterns has changed kan. Kita ingat, mula kita assume dia maybe come from rural area ataupun small town villages. Tapi based on previous trends, kita tengok mostly migration are from the largest core, the largest city lah, Kuala Lumpur kan. Faham So based on this result, we can say that okay, rural urban migration mainly took place from 1975 to 1991. However, since 1995 until 2010, the pattern has shifted towards urban migration. Ingat so you all kena pay attention to this, because in terms nanti ada soalan test tu, nanti dia akan tanyalah apa terjadi kan. Bila terjadinya urban migration, bila terjadinya rural urban migration, so you kena pay attention to this lah. Okay, what is this? This graph shows the net migration. So far so good semua? Boleh faham tak saya explain?
Faham.
Boleh. Ahmad faham.
Okay, bagus Ahmad. Hakim tak faham ke? Kau sebut nama orang. Hakim?
Saya faham tak? Saya faham.
Okay, Hakim.
Hakim faham.
Okay, Hakim, explain apa jadi ni? Apa jadi overall? Last kali saya cakap apa?
Kat tengah
Hakim, nama sama. Okay. Ada nak try lain? Ulang balik apa saya cakap? Overall finding lah. Apa cakap dia?
The migration not only tertumpu dekat kawasan kampung pindah ke kawasan bandar, dia juga berubah daripada kawasan bandar pindah ke kawasan bandar yang lain.
Okay, but you need to explain in proper way lah. Alright, since 1975 to 1991, the migration pattern is rural urban migration. But since 1995 to year 2010, the migration pattern has changed from rural urban migration to urban migration. Itu saja. Okay. Right, now next is net migration. What is net migration? Saya tanya balik.
Immigration tolak
Migration.
betul.
Okay, so itu formula dia. Net migration is the difference between in-migration and out-migration. In this case, I studied in Malaysia as my in Malaysia lah, so we consider it as internal migration. Okay, net migration is perbezaan antara in-migration dan out-migration. Formula tadi DJ explain. Very good. Alright, now in terms of the results, what happened here? We can see that the y, this is the y-axis. Y-axis contains the negative value and also positive value, and the x-axis shows the time period. Okay, kita tengok lah positive value. Positive value apa? Dah lupa lah.
Positive.
Apa maksud positive value?
Kemasukan.
Okay, what does it mean? Apa maksud dia?
Kemasukan lebih banyak daripada
Explain je lah lagi. Very good Arif, very good. So if it's positive, it means that more people are moving in than moving out. If it's negative, it means that more people moving out than moving in. So which cities, which settlement has positive net migration or net in-migration? The capital metropolis, suburban. This one is the highest. Nampak? Yeah? And then the second one is what? The capital metropolitan as a whole. Ini the blue one is the combination of core and suburban. And the third one is what? Regional metropolitan. And finally is what? Medium-sized city. But medium-sized city during the first period it is negative. It was negative. But since 1991 and 2010, the medium-sized city experienced net in-migration. Okay. Now we look, remote villages. Remote villages pun ada tak? Positif. Tengok ingat kenapa positif tadi? Kenapa positif remote villages at this stage? 1980. Ingat tak? Mana saya tunjuk? Tak ada lah. Because dah lupa. Sekejap mana saya? Because at this stage population dekat rural masih banyak lah. Okay, and then perpindahan antara kampung-kampung masih banyak lah. Okay, as time goes by, nampak tu dia makin the pattern shows a more stable. Dia kosong lah, bukan kosong, maksudnya balance lah in between in-migration and migration. In terms of the cities that experience negative net migration or net out-migration are what? The core. Kuala Lumpur experience net out-migration and small town villages. Nampak tu? Dia dah the pattern, the migration pattern of our capital city Kuala Lumpur are similar. It's similar with the small town village. Nampak tak dia punya impact migration? So apa jadi? So bila orang banyak orang keluar daripada Kuala Lumpur ni, dia maybe maybe if you look at positive side, maybe tak dense lah kot, tapi still dense lah kan. And then maybe positive side maybe I don't know, but tapi yang saya fikir negative side, people are not moving into Kuala Lumpur maybe because it will give impact to the population growth lah. Population growth in Kuala Lumpur will continuously to decline and it will become unaffordable for people to live in. Tak boleh nak duduk sini lah selagi I think this is not a situasi yang pelik. It happens to all other larger cities where the cost of living is too high. That's why people are not no longer migrate or live in Kuala Lumpur or other larger city, other larger core. Okay, that's what is happened negative or net out migration. Okay, so which cities are the dominant one? The suburban. Nampak tak? It continuously to increase. What happens 2020? I assume it will continuously to increase as well. Okay, bandar dekat cerakan bandar ni dekat Klang Valley ni akan terus merebak. Dia akan terus merebak ke arah Seremban kan, Seremban Nilai kan. So dia akan dekat atas, dekat belah utara pula dia akan merebak ke arah Rawang, semua nampak perebakan bandar, perbandaran kan. Itu kalau if you're doing thesis, if you're doing research on urban sprawl, maybe you can do this kind of analysis. You can do the migration analysis, you can do population analysis, and you can do map. You can show that the perbandaran dia punya tepu bina expanded, okay, from maybe from 1990 to 2020, I don't know. So that's it. Net migration, faham Net migration apa? Alright, so this is the map of this one, the origin and destination. The darker means the more values lah. You can see that between both periods, you can see the difference. Mula dia punya value kurang, okay. Tapi as time goes by, the values are getting higher. And what can you see? The pattern here. Apa yang boleh summarize kat pattern ni? Orang banyak tertumpu kat mana? Lembah Kelang dan juga bandar-bandar dekat pantai barat. Apa tu? Lembah Kelang is pantai barat kan? This one is what? Ini adalah koridor ke arah Kuala Kangsar kan? Betul? Ipoh kan? And then ni menghala ke mana? Ini menghala ke Pening kan? This one is menghala ke apa? Alor Setar kan? Betul? So tumpuan migrasi the migration traction is more towards the west coast of Malaysia. Okay, nampak tu yang banyak bergerak dari mana? From from Sabah Sarawak, we can see from Pantai Timur, semua bergerak ke arah Pantai Barat. Cantik tak map ni?
Okay.
Cantik tu.
Dek.
Kenalah cantik kan, cakap tak cantik susah kan. Okay, alright, berapa? We go. I think you dah faham population growth macam mana nak calculate citizen non-citizen. This one shows the population pyramid between 2010 and 2020. Ada beza sangat, ni boleh tengok sendiri, baca sendiri lah. Okay, this one is the sex ratio for 2020 in Malaysia. Apa maksudnya? Apa maksud 106 nisbah 100?
Laki lebih ramai daripada perempuan.
Yep, that is general statement lah. Technically, you can say that for every 100 female population in Malaysia, there are 106 male. So in other words, lagi banyak laki dan perempuan lah. Sebanyak berapa persen? 6% kan? Betul? This one is in terms of age group. You can see that in 2020 and 2019 there is not much different. But what can you see here? From 23 to sikitnya. Okay, silap. 2019 to 2020 from 23.5 to 23.3. Apa maksudnya dia berkurang? Okay, for 15 to 64 years old from 69.8 to 69.7, dia berkurang juga. But for 65 years old, 2019 is 6.7 increase to 7. What does it mean? Apa yang you boleh summarize based on this pattern? We can see that the young population are declining. Okay, the elderly population are increasing. What does it mean? You dah belajar fertility, you dah belajar mortality, you dah belajar life expectancy.
Kadar kematian berkurang.
Yes, very good. The mortality rate is continuously to decline. Hence, jadi
kadar kesedaran berkurang.
tak, dia tak habis lagi. Bila kadar kematian berkurang, jadi apa jadi? Result tu what?
Lebih ramai orang.
Ya, very good. Lagi ramai orang yang hidup, which is bila dia meningkat dewasa, dia jadi orang tua lah, kan? So, very good, Arif. Another thing is the what? Tadi you cakap apa?
Kadar kesuburan berkurang.
Ya, our fertility rate is continuously to decline. Hence, jadi
Kadar kelahiran pun berkurang.
yes, okay. Kadar kelahiran berkurang. Jadi, yang ni apa jadi? Young population also decrease in terms of its share, kan? So bila young population continuously to decline, apa jadi dekat 15-64 tahun ni? In the future?
No, don't have depensity.
Okay, I explain in simpler term lah. Apa nama? If the young population continuously to decline, what will happen to the one who take care of us, yang bekerja, mak ayah you, kan, abang-abang you, apa jadi?
Tiada pengganti.
Dia tak ada bukan tak ada berganti, dia macam that's why dia kurang pengganti. That's why you can see that 69.8 to 69.7, yes, it's not significant. For example lah, contoh makin berkurang yang dilahirkan dan yang kanak-kanak ni, bila dia meningkat dewasa in the future, kumpulan 15-64 kan tahun akan berkurang jugalah berbanding tahun berikutnya, tahun sebelumnya. Faham tak? Dia macam domino effect lah, kan? Bila yang bawah sekali tak banyak lahir, bila dia mendekat dewasa, dia pun kurang lah dia punya proportion atau share. Kan? Tapi at the same time, for elderly 65 years and above, actually it's 60 years and above. This one is classification based on working age group. But actually, elderly definition in Malaysia is 60 years old. Ingat 60 tahun ke atas is considered as elderly. Okay? Not 65. 65 is because yang ni dicategorized based on apa? Working age group. Okay? Elderly 60 and above. So in the meantime, apa jadi? Orang tua akan meningkat, lagi banyaklah survive. Okay? So what happens? So what happens? Fertility berkurang kanak-kanak, kurang bayi, mortality berkurang, life expectancy meningkat, lagi banyak orang tu hidup. Apa jadi golongan tengah-tengah ni? Dia pun akan berkurang. So apa jadi kepada negara? Adakah dia akan beri berkesan kepada negara?
Yes.
Apa dia?
The economy will decline.
Not decline, but it will affect in terms of kita punya tenaga kerja satu, labor force. Lagi dua maybe in terms of ketenteraan, kan? Maybe ketiga maybe in terms of more or less to economy lah, and economy and so. Lagi banyak orang, macam mana nak lagi banyak orang yang bekerja ni 1564 ni, lagi kurang orang yang 1564 ni, macam mana dia nak support yang young population dengan increasing elderly ni, faham tak? So dia memberi impact kepada negara in terms of that factors. Clear? Alright, so this shows that median age in 2020, this is estimate 29 years old. In other words, atas 29 means what? Considered middle age group lah. Saya dah consider as middle age person lah. You all masih consider as youth lah, kan? Right? Ni baca sendirilah. Ni pun saya dah explain kan, principal cause of death kan. Saya dah explain belum? Okay, kita tengok kat sini lah. 0 to 14 years old, death is because of pneumonia, paru-paru. 15 to 40 years old, mainly because of accident. Okay, jaga-jagalah kita semua ni. Saya pun termasuk sekali. So, berhati-hati di jalan raya. 41 to 59 more tu penyakit jantung. So, saya pun kena jaga-jagalah antara dua ni. So, hopefully kita tak menyumbang kepada statistik ni lah. Kita kena jaga diri di jalan raya dan juga jaga diri dengan maybe in terms of diet, pemakanan kan, lifestyle, so that kita tak menyumbang kepada statistik ni lah. Right? Mati itu pasti, tapi this is bukan statistik. Alright, this is life expectancy. I think I've already explained this. Thank you, reference. Thank you, question. Ada soalan? Any question? Clear? Clear ke?
Sir, sorry, tanya intermediate city apa?
Is small to medium size city.
Oh.
Okay, kita tengok kita tengok hierarchy bandar. You all tak familiar hierarchy bandar. Hierarchy bandar di Malaysia. Okay, nanti you all kena familiarize ya. Okay, this is the latest hierarchy in DPN second. My study is based on the first DPN lah. So the hierarchy tu, I refer this one if I'm mistaken. Okay, this one. This is the actual hierarchy in Malaysia. The previous settlement hierarchy in Malaysia, dia ada conurbation pertumbuhan negara. Conurbation pertumbuhan negara ni kawasan Klang Valley lah. Tapi this is based on Plan Malaysia. Plan Malaysia doesn't specify kawasan Klang Valley ni besar mana, kan? Is it dia hanya bulat macam ni je. Okay, nampak dia termasuk Negeri Sembilan sikit. But in my case, like I mentioned earlier, I reclassify into I reclassify based on ada beberapa distrik kat sini sajalah. Because previous study yang Dekan buat apa semua tu, dia hanya classify bandar-bandar yang keliling ni saja, keliling dalam Selangor ni saja, tak termasuk dalam Negeri Sembilan. Okay, and then kita ada conurbation pertumbuhan wilayah. This one is located ni, saya kata ini yang ungu ni is conurbation Kuantan. Kat bawah ni dia tak tunjuk lah, kat bawah ni ada conurbation Johor Bahru, kat atas ni ada conurbation Georgetown. And then the third hierarchy is conurbation pertumbuhan separa wilayah. This one is negeri lah, bukan, separa, more or less regional development. And then ada pertumbuhan negeri, ada ibu negeri, dan ada lagi lah pusat pertempatan utama dan pusat pertempatan kecil. So what I did was I combine pusat pertempatan kecil and pusat pertempatan utama as small towns or villages. Okay, but for medium-sized city, I combine pertumbuhan separa wilayah and pertumbuhan negeri. I reclassify into medium-sized city. Okay, but for conurbation pertumbuhan wilayah, which is located at the 3 locations, I reclassified it into regional metropolitan. And finally, the largest one is conurbation pertumbuhan negara, also known as Klang Valley area. I classified it into capital metropolitan. But this is the first settlement hierarchy that was outlined in Dasar Perbandaran Negara. Okay, clear tak ni? Tadi Hakim tanya tentang intermediate city. Intermediate tu more or less medium size city. Medium size city inilah kalau saya buat, saya consider Temelung Takap as medium size city. Apa lagi? Dekat Melaka ni I consider as medium size city. Dekat Kuala Kangsar, dekat Ipoh I consider as medium size city. Nampak tu? Okay? Menjawab soalan?
Menjawab. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Alright. But that is based on my study. However, you are planning student, you need to refer to the actual hierarchy of the settlement in Malaysia. So this is the outdated hierarchy. The latest one is this one. Okay, dia rename into Bandar Global. Okay, Bandar Global is more or less the Klang Valley lah, tapi dia rebranded lah. And then Bandar Wilayah is the 3 still similar. And then dia buang separa wilayah tu, dia letak Bandar Negeri. Ni more or less ibu negeri lah. And then bandar utama, bandar tempatan. Okay, this is the newest hierarchy, newest settlement hierarchy in Dasar Perbandaran Negara. Okay, nanti for 04, nanti you naik 005, nanti you ada regional, sector regional development, you kena familiarize. Okay, macam you pun dalam bandar-bandar negeri tu, apa hierarki dia yang ada kan? Contoh you buat dekat negeri Pulau Pinang lah. Okay, apa hierarki bandar yang available dekat Pulau Pinang? So benda-benda tu yang you kena cover. Faham hierarki bandar ni? So hierarki bandar is based on what? This one saya I was part of the project team in deciding the hierarchy city. Ni saya tahulah Bandar Global masa saya, this is in 2015 before I continue my PhD. Me and Professor Dekan did a consultancy. We as part as academician, we examine and also identify the new hierarchy. So this is the new hierarchy. So saya buat map, dalam tu nanti tengok di PN tu adalah contoh-contohnya. Okay, soalan? So the hierarchy, settlement hierarchy is berdasarkan apa? Bandar Global, Bandar Wilayah berdasarkan apa? First of course is based on the number of population that concentrated in that area. The second in terms of economy, kan, ekonomi bandar kan. And then third maybe in terms of the functions of the city. Maybe fourth, maybe in terms of the urban developments in that city. So there are many criteria before we decided the hierarchy. Okay, for further explanation, just download the Dasar Perbandaran Negara Kedua and you can read it. Kan? Dasar Perbandaran Negara Kedua. Tak tahulah ada kat sini ke tidak. Right, soalan?
Saya nak tanya, macam Johor Bahru tu masih dah dikira global juga ke? Bandar global ke?
Johor Bahru is in Malaysian context is considered as bandar wilayah. Bandar global hanya yang tengah ni saja.
Okay.
Okay. Macam dia kan regional, more to regional lah. Dia macam bandar sempadan antara negara Malaysia kan. So we consider as bandar wilayah. Bandar global hanya Eric Klang Valley because orang kalau tengok Malaysia dia cakap apa dulu? Kuala Lumpur kan? Dia akan mention capital city of the country, Kuala Lumpur. That's why we Klang Valley area ni we classify bandar global. Bukan Johor Bahru. Johor Bahru maybe in terms of bandar sempadan, bandar wilayah kan. Right? Nak tahu classification, nak tahu bandar-bandar apa termasuk dalam kategori apa, again download DPN 2. Menarik tak saja ni?
Nanti
Yelah tu. Soalan? DPN 2. Sekejap saya tengok. Bawah sekali ada kot. Ni ada ni. Hold on. Nampak ni hierarki bandar 2025. So bandar global is Kuala Lumpur, wilayah perusahaan Putrajaya 3.5 juta. Bandar wilayah Georgetown, Johor Bahru, Kuantan, Labuan. Okay. Bandar negeri is Kanga, Alustar, di semua apa negeri ni. Kota KB, Kuala Terengganu.
Awak lupa.